Friends of Zeus podcast. Zeus fights John Zeus. There's a rain.
All right, Big Zeus, we are recording.
Hello, welcome to the Friends of Zeus podcast. This is episode 206. Tonight we have our distinguished guest, Mr. Josh Perry of the It Could Be Worse podcast, which is killing it out on the internet.
Thank you.
Tonight, if you can't tell by my AI background, we're going to do a In the News episode. If you guys come up with anything that I haven't, I sent a little prep, for some stuff for us to look at. But if you guys are come up with something in the news that I haven't thought of, by all means. I just kind of went with what's trending. I guess the first one, let's get it out of the way. Football. How are we feeling about the playoffs? I know Dez is happy.
I don't really care.
What? You were talking Kansas City before.
Well, that's because I live in Kansas. I mean, kind of have to.
Kind of why I'm for the Redskins or Commanders.
Yeah, you gotta watch that Redskins stuff.
There was actually a news story recently. They said that they're going to go back to the old uniforms, but keep it the Commanders, but have the Native American chief on the side.
Oh wow, okay.
I like that. I can meet in the middle on that one.
Sure.
All right, if nobody wants to talk about that.
Well, no, I mean, what are you thinking? I mean, I can't root for the Chiefs at all because I'm sick of them, and I hate the Eagles because I'm a Giants fan, but my son's a big Eagles fan, so I have to root for them whether I like it or not. It is.
That's kind of where I am.
Although I think they have a shot because they have Barkley.
Oh, I think they're going to destroy the Chiefs. No offense, Des, but again, you don't really care. So
she doesn't care.
But
Des
I
is
think
only in it because she's a Swiftie.
nah. Are you?
I mean, I wouldn't classify myself as a Swiftie. Do I like some? I mean, she's got some bops, but I mean, she does.
I mean, have you seen her in concert or anything like that?
I actually have.
Oh,
Not-
see,
I
that's
didn't-
it. That's it. Then you are automatically there.
Well,
Forget
I did not go to the Eras tour. I went to I don't know, like her album, it was a long time ago. The main album that she had out, like that tour was the Fearless. I don't know if it was like the Fearless tour, but like that's the album that she was like.
Did you pay the exorbitant amount for tickets that?
I did not purchase the tickets, so I don't know.
All right, fair enough. So Jack, you're asking my opinion is the the Commanders.
Yeah, you got to get over it.
They killed it against Detroit. They looked unstoppable, and they played well in this game against the Eagles. There was a period where you thought there was still a chance, and then the Eagles just turned it on. So I'm going with the Eagles, first of all, because they're in the conference, and they just look like a devastatingly good team. Especially with what is his name? Saquon Barkley?
Saquon Barkley, yes, former New York Giant, and we gave him away for nothing.
That dude is a beast. And they weren't even really using him that much.
No, then they're using him smartly.
Exactly.
The Giants he was a workhorse. They gave him the ball every play because he was the only offensive player we had, and I'm surprised it didn't ruin his career, but good for him.
Yeah, but they had another guy in there that was doing pretty well as well, which I thought was kind of cool. Bring him in when they needed punched in, but yeah, he looked great. My team's not in it, so I got to pick one. I'm like you. I'm done with the Chiefs. I'm just done.
Why you guys gotta hate on the Chiefs?
See, now she's getting a little snippy.
Yeah, because they get all the calls.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the NFL is, maybe rigged. I don't know. But before they were like whooping ass right now, they sucked forever. So give them their time.
Fair.
Well, they're already working on like New England level wins. What, they're 2 out of 3? Is that right, Jack?
What, in Super Bowls?
Yeah,
I mean, they've
think-
been to a couple
or
Super
Yeah,
3
Bowls.
out of 4 maybe.
I think that's right. I thought it was 2 out of 3, but you're right. I think it might be 3 out of 4.
Yeah, they're catching up with New England fast.
Yeah,
still
another.
Okay,
wanna
but before that, they like were never in a Super Bowl. I think they were in like Super Bowl 2.
Yeah, they were in Super Bowls before, but it was, I think they maybe been in like 2 before. I don't think they won.
No, like Super Bowl number 2,
Yeah, like back in the
not 2.
Yeah, like
back in the
1960.
the Vince Lombardi days.
Yeah, before the Lombardi Trophy was even a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I will say this. So we watched. So in an undisclosed location, I guess you can say. Just kidding. In Mexico, there's a lot of Canadians here right now. I don't know why, but they're the little sports bar
I
that they
can tell
have
you why.
here.
There's a
Huh?
highway, a secret highway in the Midwest that goes directly from Canada to Mexico. You didn't hear about that?
No, but none of them drove here, so
That's the
they
old
all
Ron
flew
Paul
Air
thing.
Canada. No, but I've like seen maybe I know one Bills fan, and it's kind of by default because he's from there.
Buffalo.
And so, I mean, there were all these Bills fans here at this little sports bar that we're at here on the resort, and like they're all whatever the fuck their chant is. I don't know. Let's go Buffalo original. But they're like they have nothing cool. Like at least we have like we're gonna beat the fuck out of you. You. I mean, come on. Or like the tomahawk. Anyway.
That's cheap, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
you don't know the tomahawk?
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
That's
so
racist.
they're all like, you know what? It's not because the Chiefs probably use a tomahawk as a tool in the culture. I don't know. Anyway, so they're like cheering their little chants. They're like acting like they're the best team since sliced bread, talking all this shit on the Chiefs. And I'm like, you guys have like one fan in the United States. Like, what do you what? Like, have you guys ever won a game? Like, how are you even here right now? But anyway.
They had a few Super Bowls, didn't they? The Bills. I know one.
And what's a bill? What's a bill? The only Buffalo Bill that I know is a serial killer.
Oh no, Buffalo Bill was a famous cowboy back in the aughts, whatever you want to call it. No, see, I thought this was would have been the perfect one for the Redskins to get to the Super Bowl because you'd either have them going against the Chiefs, which they could kind of bring up the whole name thing again. Like, I know that would be part of the news story. And also, if they came up against the Bills, then that would be a replay of what was it, like 84? Do you know, Jack? Or was it
No, I don't know what you're referencing at this point.
Well, I'm saying the Redskins or the Commanders, if they were to go up against the Bills in the Super Bowl, that'd be a replay of back in
Oh
the
yeah,
day.
no, right. That was
92 maybe?
I can't remember, but was that Steve? No, who was that? Was that are you going all the way back to Theismann? Like 80s?
Maybe we played them twice then, because
I don't know.
I think there was
Hey,
one in
you're the
92.
Commanders fan, man.
Yeah, but dude, that's going way back. Anyway,
Right.
that would have been a neat thing to see. And now, like I said, now it's the Philly and the Chiefs. I honestly can't say who's going to win. I feel like it's going to be Philly because they look like a powerhouse against a team that went 13 or 14-5. It's not an easy task. But anyway, that's it for me as far as that. I was just so everybody on board, everybody except for Dez thinks that Eagles are gonna walk away with it.
No, I didn't say that. I'd like to see them do it, but I don't think they're going to necessarily do it. I mean, it's the Chiefs are the Chiefs, you know. So
That's true. That's true. So another. Okay, let's just move on to the news. I just wanted to get everybody's kind of feels for that. The doomsday clock. They just moved
We
it
don't
up a
know what that
second.
is.
Huh?
1 whole second.
Yeah, but we're like at 4:57 and 58. So like it's significant is what they're saying. I'm not a big follower of the doomsday clock, but I think when they started it was like I think Einstein, or right after the nuclear bomb, they did it as a way to gauge how close we are to our own self-destruction. And I think it was at like 45 then.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm kind of, this ties in the NFL too. I was kind of glad to see the Lions lose, even though that's my team. Because, after they went 0-16 and had so many losing years, after year after year, I kind of used to make that joke, hey, the Lions are going to lose when hell freezes over and the world ends. And then when they, went out, I was like, whew, we got another year. But it's like, I think we're kind of on par, or not on par, but on course back to how it was, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe now, where it was like the closest to world peace that we were ever at, ever. And I think we're heading back to those times, because even with this fine gentleman right here, good old Donnie T, it seems like we're de-escalating around the world. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I get that vibe.
Well, I got a lot more faith in him than I do in whoever was running the show, before that,
He seems to be making things happen. He goes over to, or I don't know if he went to Israel, but suddenly things are, it's very Reagan-esque in that as soon as he becomes president, hostages are getting released, a la the first day that Reagan was actually president, the Iranians sent over the hostages like that night. So yeah, I get that. I'm a little, I'm not questioning him. I'm just, I want to see him start doing stuff. And I'm not saying he's not, but I want to see like some of the big things happen. Like how about the California wildfires? Let's get to work on that, because I think last I heard they were 68% relieved, like in the positive, 68% as far as getting rid of the fires. But it's been like a month.
I mean, like, he's not a firefighter.
Right, but apparently, back when he was in office before, and actually when he was on the Rogan show, he talked about the fires. They provided a plan, and it was just shoot away. Yes, Jack?
No, I'm saying, yeah, you're right. California said, no, we're not doing that.
So hopefully he'll get to work on that. That's one that I like to see, because granted, they are rich people, and I'm not like the anti-rich people person, but nobody should lose their home. They earned the money to buy it. However, how they earned it, hopefully legitimately, it's theirs. And for somebody to lose their home, it's horrible. Memories are lost,
Dude, I hate to tell you, man, but it's been a busy week, buddy. I know we're on like day 8, but he went out there already, and they'd had a conference, and he had Melania with him, which I think is kind of cool, because I've been seeing everything that he's doing. He's bringing the old lady along with him, and just. But they went and sat down, had their conference.
Hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
First old lady.
The first old lady. But they were sitting down, and he called out the mayor there and said, I don't know why you guys didn't have the water, so that the people could use it. We're going to have that fixed now. And then it was talking about plans of rebuilding. And they were saying 18 months. And he said, no, that's too long. We need it faster. And the people started arguing with him. He started pointing out, you said 18 months, you said 18 months, you said eight. We're not doing that. And I'm loving it, man. He's
Yeah,
handling
no,
everything.
no, Josh, that presser, I saw that. It was amazing because I'm Bass, the mayor, she was kind of getting a little, he was getting her hackles up a little bit, but he didn't back down at all. And then he was talking about how there's people that want to go to their homes and sift out whatever they can. They want to see what's left and they want to be able to go, start to clean up their stuff. And California is preventing them from even accessing their own property, and they're saying you have to get a permit and you're going to have to wait so many weeks. And Trump's like, what are you talking about? Like, these people should have the right to just go to their homes.
Yeah.
Let them go. If it's safe, then
It's
what are we
very
doing?
reminiscent of the Maui fires.
Well,
They weren't able to go to their homes either. I don't know if that's changed, but
I hope it changes because we were par for the course for one national tragedy a year. We had East Palestine, we had Hawaii, we had L.A. What was the other one I'm forgetting?
The
But
hurricane.
the hurricane, and just all miserable.
Yeah.
And the people are just always put in the back seat. Here's your $600. Sorry for your loss, and then we all move on. I think right before Biden headed out, he said, "Here's 700." Cost of living increase. Who knows?
Well,
But
and also just the way they handled it. Like, we know enough about the North Carolina hurricane situation where they caught them red-handed saying we're not going to provide aid to people with Trump signs on their houses. I mean, that that
Mhm.
that that got exposed. And then even beyond that, like, Trump went to the scene. He went to North Carolina like within the first week, and he let people go up to a microphone and tell their story, like, as he stood right next to them. And there's people that haven't gotten any help. There's still, like, there's roads that aren't roads anymore. There's houses that are gone, people living in tents. And this was even during the cold of winter. I mean, how was FEMA not doing more in all that time that passed? Like, why did Trump have to be president for anything to start happening? And you could say that about a lot of facets of government. I mean, it just seems like, what were they doing?
yeah, and that's why I think the doomsday clock. I think it's like a media, fear porn deal where it's like, hey
yeah.
guys, here's just something else to worry about. 'Cause, I mean, things are going better, much better, at least in my eyes. I don't know about you guys. Last November, it's like, man, the world sucks. And then as soon as like the election was done, it was almost like a calm. And it's not just in politics; it was almost universally. Just everywhere in the world, people like started, I don't know, not acting like psychopaths anymore.
I was
Mhm.
saying that right after on the show is like there is this sense of like lancing a boil, like it diminished the volatile, like if you talk about something, people are gonna jump down your throat. An interesting thing that happened. This was at work, where I shouldn't talk anything about politics, and I wasn't actually.
Here we go again. Zeus at work.
No, but listen to this. So I said, how do you feel about them releasing the MLK, JFK, RFK files? And this one girl, she goes, "Oh, I hate to burst your bubble, but nobody here really wants to talk about politics." And I'm like, A, it's not politics, it's history. And B, if you do want to go with politics, all three of the people that were involved were Democrats. So what's your point? And that kind of squashed it, but it's just like, really? You're still holding on to this politics thing? That I personally think you should be able to talk about politics wherever. I don't. The only way we're going to decrease like the heat behind it is if you're talking about a constantly polite discourse, disagreeing but not canceling.
Yeah,
And
but the problem is it's like two areas where people are so embedded in their belief systems. Like, it's their values that you're talking about. So like people get really personal about it, And that's why there's just sort of this rule, like when you're at a party or you're in a bar or you're at certainly at work, those are two things you shouldn't talk about. Like I'm kind of like with
Religion and
Zeus,
politics and money.
right? Right. And I'm kind of like Zeus, I get where you're coming from because you should be able to have a civil conversation about anything. And maybe
If
if
it
we
becomes
had
uncivil, it's on the uncivil person. It's
That's
not
what I'm
on.
talking about. And maybe if we had more conversations about those things, then maybe the world would be better and not worse. Because you know what I mean? I don't know. But it's just, and there's people that just don't, they'll get upset if you're disagreeing with them. Although
Good. That means that things might change.
well, you know what? I heard
Yeah.
I heard a quote by somebody. I can't remember who it was. It was probably on some podcast. But somebody said, "Well, here's the difference between liberals and conservatives." And I thought this was totally true. Conservatives are happy when you agree with some part of what they believe. Just some part. Like they'll be like they like that makes them sort of satisfied. And liberals are only happy when you agree with 100% of what they believe. And that's sort of the difference in who can have the conversation. And I don't know that that's not true because I know like if I'm having a conversation with someone who leans left and there's one thing that we can agree on, then it turns into like a nice conversation about like, oh yeah, I'm with you on that, like, oh my gosh, how can they like, let's say the open border, right?
Mhm.
But if it's the other way around, like you have to be believing in all of it or else the person gets really upset about that one thing that you don't agree. You know what I mean? Like it just seems like that's the way it goes. I don't know if that's fair.
Well,
Maybe it's
I
not.
think what it means is that the right is just more liberal now,
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the definition of the term.
the
Where,
classic sense of the term,
yeah,
right?
like
But well,
again,
that's why you almost have to change the terminology. It's almost like
right?
you can't call them liberals. You got to call them like progressives or leftists. I mean,
Mhm.
or
And
or just
progressive is
or
a term
just
for
or
it too, because that means progress.
no. Well, then, well, what it is communist. But we've talked about that on other episodes. Huh?
Mhm.
Well, with the doom clock, I mean, what else have you guys kind of seen just around the world where
Well,
they might justify up in the tick in the clock?
Well, so that what you just said around the world, that kind of stuff. I think the advent of AI and the rapid increase in its abilities in just the last few years, they did mention that, and I feel like that is definitely something to consider. The fact that China, and again, I got no problem with Chinese people. The government maybe a little, but China puts out more like carbon into the atmosphere than every other country in the world.
Man,
So, you
my,
know,
my
these are
complaint with
things that,
China is they go and make food that is so delicious and leaves you hungry an hour later. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it
It's not
still
even
hasn't been
China.
solved.
It's Thailand that's making the delicious foods.
What dish does?
Anything that starts with a pad, so like pad see pad thai, it's all delicious.
see, I'm a fried rice guy
I like the General Chows.
and beef and
I
burger.
think that I think it might be pronounced General South.
No,
And
it's actually so I
is it
thought,
Taos?
but I always called
Oh,
it General Chow just because I like it.
General good.
Because you
Good,
like
good,
to
good.
chow down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
You
I
know
think
what? I
they,
Well,
heard somewhere, somebody told me one time that fried rice is not even really a thing. Like they
uh,
don't have that.
I don't
But
care
I
where.
don't know. I've never been there.
I don't care if it's not a real thing. It's delicious.
They should try it if it isn't.
Exactly.
but wait,
Uh,
Zeus, as far as like the doomsday clock thing, like I mean, if it was just this arbitrary thing that they set up and said, "Oh, now that we have the bomb, this is how long we give humanity." Like if that's and we're just ticking closer to this hypothetical thing, I mean, you still have I think Trump's a better option to deal with the Putin situation. He's probably already spoken to him. He's already met with Zelensky. I want them to get to the bottom of where all the money went. I
that
want that investigation. But
that's
as far as danger, I mean, we've had an open border for 4 years completely. and we don't know who came in here, and there's still a lot of countries that hate us. So if you're worried about like the next escalation of a doomsday situation, it's like people forgot about 9/11, completely forgot about it. You know what I mean? Like, who's to say that they're not going to pull something like that, and that could escalate things?
Or I mean, to be take it outside of our realm, or October, was it 7th, or
Yeah.
the many huge 9/11-esque attacks on countries that have happened in the last maybe 2 decades, but it's ramping up certainly. I mean, so that, yeah, that, I mean, I think that
That's the only situation that I'm really worried about. I mean, honestly, I think the Russia-Ukraine thing is going to get solved. Trump's already got, like you said, the hostage situation in Israel, the ceasefire. Like, I mean, there's actually a person in charge, like a person, and not just like a group of like theater kids that are in the background running stuff.
Jack, have you seen Dr. Phil and Thomas Homan roaming the streets of Chicago?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's the most amazing clip I've seen. There's this one that's going around on Twitter. It's like 5 minutes long, and you got ICE has this guy detained. He says he's from Thailand, and I guess he SA'd a minor, and so that he's in cuffs, and you got Dr. Phil talking to him. Oh, well, what did you do? Oh, you never been deported? And then it's literally Dr. Phil is the good cop. And then Thomas Homan just comes up as the bad cop. He's like, "Yeah, you're getting deported. You're going." And then they just walk off. It's like Grandpa good cop, bad cop. It's phenomenal.
I gotta find that. I gotta look for that. That's amazing.
Yeah, Dr. Phil is.
Dr. Phil got political, man. He's been political for the last
really
year.
I've really liked him in recent years. I really like him a lot. But so yeah, I think that's what honestly, I think the doomsday clock is arbitrary because it could go to 0-60 in no time. You know what I mean? Just one bad thing that pisses off the wrong maniac that's got a finger on a button, and it doesn't really matter. So it's kind of arbitrary. Like Josh was saying, I think it's more fear porn than anything. It's just to make us worry. Which,
well, yeah, but like you guys were saying though, since the election day, there was almost like this collective optimism and sigh of relief in a way. Where I think people have just generally felt.
Don't leave us hanging, Jack.
I mean, not everybody, because it was like
Keep
if
talking.
you look at the popular vote, it was very close. But I just think enough people, when you look at the county map, you know what I mean? There's a lot of Americans that are just like, oh, thank God. Because it looked pretty shaky there of what the next 4 years were going to be like. And it really did.
Well, Zeus, with you you being at work, what was about the age range of the people you were talking to?
What do you mean?
Yeah, how old were the people that were kind of like brushing off the discussion about getting political?
Oh, she's probably in her mid-20s.
Well, that's the thing, man. They don't care at that age. No, nobody cares about politics or even like local things like, hey, we're going to go and tax you for kids' lunches until you got kids and you got to make sure they got lunch at school,
Well, that's why I shut her down. I'm like, okay, this is not politics. This is history. This is important history. It's transparency that we should have had from go. So that's what I'm talking about. If you don't feel that it's helpful, then give me your argument, but don't say that it's politics. It's simply not politics.
Yeah.
I mean, MLK was not a politician. He probably would have been if he had lived through that. I'm sure he would have been a politician at some point, but and also all three of these people were kind of mutually loved. Would you guys agree with that? RFK, JFK, MLK?
Well, JFK, he got capped because he wanted to go and shut down the Federal Reserve, and I'm hoping that's where we're heading again. I know that with Andrew Jackson, and then there was another president, using tariffs was the only way that we were able to actually lower the deficit down to almost negligible numbers.
Yeah,
and I'm hoping that we can do that again, and then just get rid of our fake money system that just makes us all slaves. But I mean, that's a whole nother topic for Yeah,
Well,
honestly,
let's
its own
hold off
day.
on why he got killed, because in about 30 days, we're gonna find out whatever was on file.
I don't
Whether, I mean,
know.
it
I
could
think
also be manufactured at this point.
I don't
That hasn't evaded me.
I don't know, man, but Josh, just on what you were saying as far as like Jackson and the tariffs and whatnot, did you see that Trump presser, that interaction he had? He was up on a stage at some event, and he started talking about like how the IRS wasn't around till 1913, and before that, it was all tariffs and taxes on other countries. And he said something like I don't think it makes sense to tax our citizens to enrich foreign countries when we should be taxing foreign countries to enrich our citizens. And I mean, and it was just like, it was, the words were just so beautiful coming out of a president's mouth. It was like, all right, let's talk, this external revenue service, and let's stop beating the hell out of our own people. So, I mean, I think that's a step in the right direction. And
Yeah,
then
and
I
that
don't know.
doesn't. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say at the same presser, I don't know if you guys heard about this. He was talking about deporting criminal aliens, like those who've committed crimes, been arrested, been
Uh-huh.
convicted, what have you. And he said, you know what? We have a lot of domestic violent criminals in this country too that are doing these horrible things in our cities. And he goes, it might be time to think about deporting them as well. And he basically said we could get a foreign country to jail people for a lot cheaper than we do the private companies that do it now. So maybe that's something that should be on the table. Like I don't know
Wow.
what do you guys think about like Escape from New York with Kurt Russell, like putting them all on some penal colony at lower cost to the taxpayer.
I mean, honestly, it's one of those things where it sounds good, but I imagine going through it, it would probably be one of the scariest damn things you could imagine.
Yeah,
And
no, I'm talking about for like violent repeat offenders.
violent.
Like
Yeah,
Snake Plissken.
Like BTK.
hey, you know what? Sometimes you go and make your bed and you gotta lay in it, and if that's on, the coast of Alcatraz or in another country, it is what it
Open it
is.
back up,
It is what it
Alcatraz.
is.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, because you got these people in the cities getting let out with no bail, and they've got 20-page rap sheets, and they've been arrested 60 times, and they're out pushing people in front of subways. It's like, no, you got to go. Like, you got
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah. I mean, what, Georgia used to be a debtor's colony, right?
If you say so, I don't know.
I have no idea.
I believe it was. I believe it was like kind of like Australia. It was like where all the criminals went for a long time. Why it went away, I don't know. But I mean, there is something to that. But then the human heart comes into it, and you start to think, what if you sent somebody in there that was susceptible to harsher people? I don't know. I don't know how that works out. I think maybe harsher.
Well, he was
I don't-
spitballing. He was spitballing.
Yeah, no, and that is something that I find a little admirable in him, because nothing he's saying doesn't make sense on a level.
No, it's the common sense. That's what he said. It's all about the common sense.
Yeah, and like one of the things he said back with was it Charleston, or with the
Charlottesville?
yeah, Charlottesville thing. The one thing that he said, he was like, well, George Washington owned slaves, Thomas Jefferson owned slaves.
Yeah, you coming
You
for
wanna-
him next?
Yeah, and I found, I mean, it is a touchy subject, so you don't want to bury yourself too deep on one side or the other in that, but I did find that bore a lot of weight.
Well, but and he was right, because then they started taking down and moving statues of Washington and Jefferson. I mean, like that, he wasn't wrong again.
I mean, something that bothers me a little bit is when you remove those things, be they positive, be they good, you remember why those things are there, and you at least can explore it. But if you just remove it, if you redact it from history, that's bothersome. Like what, Lee Highway in Virginia is,
Yeah, but Zeus, that's how communism works. Hey,
yeah.
Josh, your mic's off. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I got a minion that keeps running up and yelling. So I'm muting my
Oh.
mic
Oh,
intermittently.
that's totally fine. Yeah, I got a dog that coughs here too, so if I mute, that's
Oh,
probably
the dog cough. So talking about changing history, let's talk about this Gulf of America that
Yeah,
I'm
that was one.
sitting right about 5 feet from right now. But
Oh, that's great.
And the interesting thing is Google, who you would never expect to do this, complied with the changes. I think it has to do with Gulf of America and then that mountain in, was it Alaska?
Alaska.
They changed it back to
McKinley.
McKinley.
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, can you just go like changing the names of shit on a map? Is that something you can do? Can I do that?
I think he
Yeah.
can do that.
Trump was actually getting on Google. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. Like pretty much scolding them, saying, "Hey, you're going to adhere to what we're doing, and you're going to change these things on your engine."
They did.
Well, they
Yeah.
did.
Like Google Maps can't even get my fucking street name right. How the fuck?
Well, so
Yeah,
here's the
like-
thing. It's changed in America, but for the rest of the world, it'll still be Gulf of Mexico.
mm.
I feel like he's got an ulterior motive to this. Like maybe he can somehow finagle oil rights that were maybe not readily available before. I don't know. There seems to be, it seems like a non-issue unless there's something underlying that
I
he's.
think that this is just a like a bully tactic. Like, haha, I'm gonna change the fucking name of the Gulf. Fuck you.
See,
Well,
I'm with you there, Des. I think that's how it started off, and it kind of escalated a little bit because, it's like, hey, this is ours. We're going to call it ours. And then you look at things like, he joked about, yeah, we're going to go and take Canada too, and they're going to be our 51st state. And, all of a sudden that started, it's gaining ground. And I think it's one of those like, hey, we changed the Gulf or the name of the Gulf. We're going to go and take Greenland. We're going to go and take the Panama Canal back.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of setting the standard. Like, yeah, this is happening.
Yeah, I had a bit of a.
Yeah, give us a shit back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you brought up Panama because that was something that I wanted to bring up. Is the thing I was talking to somebody? It might have been one of my very liberal family members, and they're like, "But it's on their land." I'm like, "Yeah, but we paid for it." So, like, if you pay for a painting and put it in my house, you just get to come and take it whenever you want. I
Yeah,
get.
it's like a loan.
What's that?
The loan.
Well, yeah,
Right.
no, but what happened was Carter.
Yeah.
Here's what I thought happened. Not what happened. What's happening
What had
is that. See, what I think is happening is, I don't think we're trying to get that back. I think we're just trying to give it back to Panama.
I
don't
think
know.
it's.
I think he wants the control of it back. I really do. Because right now, I mean, we're the country that gets screwed down there. When we want to use it, we're getting treated like we didn't build it.
Right. That's the issue. I mean, we do. I have a buddy.
But
Kirk.
hold on, but has that always been happening, or has it been happening since China's really been the one controlling it? I mean, when Panama was in control of it, were they letting us use it just fine?
Well, I mean, if Panama made the
Like
deal
they're supposed to?
I don't know if they made the deal with China though, or if they started letting China push them around, then we
I know,
need
but
to
that's what I'm
sort of
saying. Like,
get in there. We need to be like,
we
wait a
don't
minute.
necessarily need it back, but we just need it back from you.
Yeah.
You get out.
Yeah, I think that's more what it is. It's about maintaining some level ownership, or an agreement that it's between us and Panama, not Panama and China, not Panama and anywhere else.
Yeah, because I mean, like Trump's a deal guy. I mean, that was the deal. The deal was we're going to build it. We have control of it for 10 years or how many ever years we had. How many years was it? 10,
50.
50, a million, 100. I don't know. We're going to build this. We're going to control it for X number of years. After X number of years are over, you can have it. And we're going to use that shit, but you can have it.
I mean,
And then
to
that
this
didn't
day,
happen. So you fucking you went back on your deal. Like, you can't do that.
to this day, we have relatively free use of it. I have a friend. I don't know if you guys have ever met or talked to him, a guy named Kirk, who's like circumnavigated the world on like a 36-foot boat, like an amazing feat. But he goes through the Panama Canal on the reg. So I think the concern, and you kind of stated it, is we just don't want China to have so much control there that suddenly we are limited in our ability to traverse it. And that is a concern. That is bothersome because it cuts through an entire country to get to the other side. It would be a very bad thing if suddenly that we were cut off from that. It would increase costs for transport.
Yeah, no, it's the Western Hemisphere. You guys, you got to go. Like this is
Yes.
our, you got to go.
Not even they have to go. They just don't have control. They have to follow a
Well-
certain set of rules.
Well, sure. All right, yeah.
That's fine. Leave it in control, Panama. As long as it's it's a pay as you go kind of thing. That's how I feel about it. I don't think it has to be a big issue, but I think it's going to become a bigger issue if China gains more control there, which we've talked about it before. They're definitely filling up some seats down there because remember we were talking about the line of people from Latin America coming up, and then there's another line over to the right that's all Chinese. They've got like Chinese restaurants and like they're getting real estate down
Well,
there.
that's a plus.
I know, I love Chinese food, but I don't
You
want
guys
it
are
to be
terrible.
forced fed to me.
I'll take it forth fed to me.
I do like some Chinese food. You're right, beef and broccoli all day long.
You can close all the McDonald's in the country and just put like a Panda Express there. We're good.
That could work. That could work. It's probably it won't be made of the cardboard that they make those burgers with.
I don't particularly like Panda Express, but that was just something I don't know. I can't think of I don't know.
I stopped
Chinese
by
buffets. There you go.
I stopped by McDonald's yesterday to go and get the little man a Happy Meal. And I
Nice.
can't believe, like, I was looking at the menu, their value menu. Like, a double cheeseburger is like $3.60. It wasn't long ago that it was $1.50. Heck,
know,
even
Wendy's-
$2. Was that?
Wendy's is cheaper now, and it's better quality.
Is it really?
What, cheaper or better
Yeah.
quality?
Cheap. Well, of course it's better
Well,
quality.
it is
Wendy's
the
amazing.
value menu. It's not the dollar menu.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm a Wendy's guy, so or Burger King. Burger King's the bomb.
What else
Burger
you
King's
got?
weird.
What else you got over there, Zeus?
So I was gonna bring up, and by the way, just a brief halt. This figure that we see in front of us of our,
You mean you?
yeah, yours.
JJ McFrair.
See that I want to see if we can actually get some audience response. I came up with a name for it, which is the Grizz, which there's a history behind that. I am correct. That is the nickname, right? From college.
Yes, Grizz was a nickname at one point in
Yeah.
my life. Yes.
Desiree says JJ McFray, which it's always JJ something. Or JJ Mick, and then pick your suffix. You got a name for it?
Who, me?
No,
Josh.
Josh.
Oh,
Josh, just so you know, I said let's go with either Steve or Carl.
How
I like Carl.
Chris or
Carl
now?
seems fitting.
I like Carl.
Carl.
How about Hot Carl?
Sure. How about you?
Have you ever seen the I don't even know what it's called. Fuck, I'm gonna look it up. The I think it was on Cartoon Network. No,
Okay.
Adult Swim. I don't know. But it's like these, or maybe it was like a YouTube thing, but it's like these llamas. One of them's name's Carl, and he does shit like eat hands or like dumb shit. And every time he fucks up, the other llama's like, Carl. I'm gonna send you a link.
All right, so
Yeah.
maybe we go with Carl. I like Hot Carl better though.
Okay, Hot Carl. So wait a
Llamas with
minute.
hats. That's what it's
What-
called.
So what else you got in the news there, Zeus?
So this one might be a little touchy for you, Jack, but I'm gonna bring it up anyway.
It's Carl.
The Pope Francis recently dissolved one of the I don't know what you call it, a church in
Denomination.
Yeah. Due to a 2023 investigation into them, and he found that its founder, Luis Fernando Figari, had earlier been found to allegedly be committing sexual acts with recruits, along with accusations of serious financial mismanagement and just a bunch of nonsense. And I mean,
Well, what denomination is
What's
it?
a
do you know?
recruit?
If it's the Pope, I'm willing to bet it's Catholic.
yeah,
No, I don't
Catholic.
mean that. I mean, what is this particular sect? Like, who was he talking about?
Let's see.
Was it just like a local
Um,
parish that this guy ran?
No, they're in like Paraguay or something. Let me see if I can find out. Where it was.
Like, if it was just, if
So
it's a Catholic,
Peruvian. It's a Peruvian Catholic.
Peruvian.
After their investigation found sadistic abuses.
all right, well, go get him.
Yeah,
Let's see some prosecutions, man. I mean, if the Pope's even acknowledging that it happened there, then
which
let's
is
see
kind
some
of a
people
new thing for the
go to
Catholic
jail.
Church.
I'm not
They
a
have to crack down on that now. They can't do what they used to do. God knows.
I
no,
gotta
yeah.
tell you,
They gotta go to jail if they're doing, bad things of that nature. They gotta
Kids.
go. And I'm not a fan of this Pope at all.
nobody's
He's
going to jail. He's just saying you're not part of my church anymore.
Well, good.
as he should.
I gotta tell you, he looks like all the evil popes ever from history.
Oh, I think it was 2 Easters ago. There was a picture of him, and he's just got this girl around his arm, and she's top heavy, and he's just grinning ear to ear.
That means
And
he has big tits.
yeah, and that's the type of behavior that I think really shows in a lot of his acts. He's not a very good religious figure or leader in my eyes.
He does look squirrely.
Well, I know he's opened his mouth about the immigration issue here in America, and I saw
What do you
that I saw that Homan went right back at him. Did you see that, Josh? That interview?
Something about I didn't see the interview. I did read like a tweet or something about it where he was pretty much just saying like nobody is like illegal or something along those lines. I don't know. Elaborate for me, Hot Carl.
No. Basically, he kind of
Hot Carl.
scolded America for what the new immigration policy, and he said that basically that we shouldn't be deporting people out of the country. And Holman just said, you know what, the Catholic Church is in enough trouble. Maybe he should fix his own house and worry about fixing the Catholic Church. And we're going to do what we have to do to enforce our laws. And he goes, and I've been Catholic my whole life. And he goes, and that Pope is wrong, basically. I mean, Holman does not screw around. He doesn't care. He just says what he's thinking.
Oh,
He
I'm
did-
all for Homan in 2028, man. If he's got the umph to him, let him run for president. He's got my vote right now.
I'm all about JD Vance.
Yeah,
That
JD
guy-
Vance is the ugliest dude I've ever seen in my life. He's
Yeah, he's alright.
look,
He's
he's
got-
got a
the
massive. He's
baby
like got a
blues.
squint.
No, he's got the eyelashes.
That's
and the
JD
baby
Vance
blues.
right there. Baby
Yeah, he's got a
blues.
lemon face.
Listen, the things that I like about him is, first of all, he's an articulate motherfucker, and he is
Mhm.
he's spot on with most of the arguments that he makes
Very smart.
when it's brought to him. But interestingly, we talked about it on our inauguration episode. I love the way that he was like handling his kids who were batshit crazy when they were walking around Capital One Arena, I think it was. I mean, he could have been leaning over and saying, "I will fucking murder you." But they didn't react like he was saying, "I will fucking murder you." They acted like he was a good dad and he was laying down the law politely, kindly. I like the
No,
guy.
he seems like a solid guy. I mean,
I like his story. He came
it's a
from
great
nothing.
story.
If you
Now
have
something.
Billy Elegy, you got to see it. It's a great movie. If it's at all true,
I heard the
he's a
book is
damn
really good.
nice guy.
The book is better than the movie.
What's
Yeah,
that?
usually.
Oh, you read the book?
Mm.
But is it somewhat accurate?
Yeah, it's
What
supposed
do
to
you
be.
mean? Like, I don't know his life.
No, but I mean to the movie.
No. I mean, it's like how all boom movies are that have, it's like all, how do I want to say this? It's like every book that gets turned into a movie. There's certain, it's never like the story doesn't develop the same.
Right,
Right.
because the visual.
Different medium.
Done. Done.
Yeah. So I think we covered Pope Francis. I still think he looks like every evil pope we've ever seen. Big fat jowls. He's definitely putting down some chicken McNuggets on the reg. One that I think Des will like to talk about. I hinted at it earlier, but she and I are like true crime buffs. And I was looking at the news about the Kohlberger guy, the Idaho killer. He was what was he? Was a criminal investigation major, something like that, forensics.
Yeah, he was like a criminology
Yeah.
major.
So the latest news, and again, I think he's still going down, no matter what happens. The latest news was that
Well,
they're trying.
just to clarify, this is the guy that killed the 4 students in their sleep. He stabbed them-
Allegedly.
Allegedly, right? But that's what happened. Four college students got butchered in their dorm room or their house that they were.
Their house. Mhm.
Was this like
Oh.
5 years ago or something like that?
Not even. maybe
Yeah,
two.
it was a while ago.
It's like 2 years ago, last year. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was shorter than, definitely shorter than 5.
But they
So
caught
here's-
him. They caught him last year, didn't they?
Nah, they caught him well before. They caught him right after, like couple, maybe a month. Not even. I don't think.
Oh,
As
okay.
wasn't it like maybe a couple weeks at most.
It was like a couple months. I mean, because this all happened, I think, in like a November-ish, and then it was until after the new year that they caught him.
They caught
Or did
Mangione
they-
faster. Wow, interesting. So this is it's kind of a cool concept that they're trying to pull him off, get him off on, or hold evidence as illegible or ineligible. Sorry, what does illegible
Inadmissible.
even mean?
Inadmissible, right?
Right. The argument is that they did like they went through his garbage and did DNA. They checked the DNA on it to find a profile to lessen the amount of people that they had looked for. And they're saying that was prejudice in a sense. And it kind of made me think of the movie Minority Report. Has everybody seen that?
No.
You know what?
Been a while.
I know it's like, isn't it Spielberg and Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Minority Report was this movie where they have these 3 people and they call them precogs, and like they can see the crime before it happens.
Okay.
You follow? And so that was kind of the issue of the whole movie is what if they change their mind right at the last second? And the whole movie was about proving that. And I found that this kind of fell into that realm, obviously not to that degree, but I don't agree. I think if you have a way of eliminating, your source pool of perpetrators, by all means you do it. Predicting whether they're capable of killing beforehand, that's a whole different thing. But it had a ring of that to it, if you follow.
Basically, what they're saying, so to catch everyone up, this is what happened.
What
Was
happened?
like what happened was this fool almost pulled off the perfect crime, but he left one like little bit of DNA on a knife sheath in the home. This DNA was recovered, but it was not found in CODIS. Because he's not done anything else before. So then, because they had street cameras that basically kind of pieced together like his car driving from the crime scene to Pennsylvania. Not really, but like, in the long run. Basically, they're kind of tracking him. They're looking for this white Elantra. Turns out our friend Koberger's got a white Elantra with the same tags. So they caught up to them and were like kind of what's the word? Scalping? No. Surveying his home, because he went to his parents' house in Pennsylvania for whatever break. While he was there,
Murder break. I think it was a murder break.
Murder break, we'll call it. So while he was there, they were like surveillancing him. They see him take out a bag of trash at 3 a.m. with gloves on to some people down the road's trash can. So they get in the trash, find a tissue. Turns out DNA matches. So then that's what they used to arrest him. Now they're saying that that was a breach of privacy. But that's funny because that's the exact damn way that BTK was caught.
So, are you saying that because it was found outside of police investigation, like it was a private effort, then they can't admit it or make it admittable?
No, it was police effort. Like they knew he was at his parents' house and they just sat outside for like, a week, waited for him to bring some DNA. This is literally the same exact way the BTK was caught.
Crazy.
I mean, it's there's been serial killers where they've been, following them and they flick a cigarette butt. Well, they pick up the cigarette butt or they trick them into drinking a glass of water and now they have the DNA. I mean, it's the same thing, essentially. Because, if you just throw your trash away, it's now not a private trash. I mean, it's not private trash, it's public trash. You throw it in the trash. You're discarding your waste. You don't want it anymore. No one needs a warrant for that.
I
So I
actually
don't know.
talked
But
to
they're saying,
a police officer buddy of mine, and he was saying if anybody like throws away say the remains, they'll never find them ever. So a little not saying food for thought, but
like
it's
human remains?
yeah, like in the because he's in a metro area where he works out of, and
Oh, like
he,
if they make it to the landfill?
yeah, he pretty much
Oh
said
yeah,
there's
so
a 0% chance that they're going to get found, and it's just I don't know, man. I guess just you say like, hey, when they go and get them to take a drink and you discard it. That's what kind of made me think of that one. I don't know. You think he's gonna get off, or they're actually just gonna hit him
Well,
with
I
it?
don't know. I think maybe the other thing, maybe that has a little bit to do with this is they use like genealogy databases, so like 23andMe, Ancestry.com, to because it was familial DNA that they used to kind of like do all this to get they used familial DNA to get the profile on Koberger and then used his DNA from the tissue or whatever to match that familial DNA profile that they got.
So it's like a brother, dad, or son or something. It's not like his.
No,
Is that what you're
it
talking
was his
about?
DNA. It was his DNA
Oh, okay. I was just wondering what you meant by
that they
familial. I
matched.
thought that was family.
Well, yeah, but that's what they used to build the profile off of,
Oh, okay. That
if
that
I'm not
works.
mistaken. It works.
Yeah, no, I was just looking. I was trying to find a copy of their motion to see what the grounds specifically are for the motion, but I can't seem to find it. All the articles say that they filed a motion, it's taken under advisement, but I can't find the actual motion or the argument. So I don't know, exactly where it's coming from. I don't
I mean,
know
I
if
know
you can
we
find it there, Desiree, but
I know we kind of started off talking about like hey, let's deport criminals. You gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, do you guys think like these loopholes or should or shouldn't exist just on like an ideological level?
what
I don't know.
you mean like a basis for a motion to suppress or a motion to? I mean, if the cops are pulling off shenanigans that violate somebody's constitutional rights as they've been interpreted, right? I mean, like like the Miranda rights, for example. I mean, if the cops are overstepping, then you're basically living in a police state where they can lock anybody up. And look what happened with the January 6ers and how long they've been in jail for basically walking around with the police invitation, a lot of them. I mean, so I don't necessarily, I like the fact that if I'm the one being accused, because all it takes is someone to say, hey, this person, struck me, or this person did this or that. Next thing you know, you have to get a lawyer. You're facing, incarceration. I kind of like that there's checks and balances in that system where the police just can't do everything they want to do. You know what I mean? Like, whether
Yeah.
the guy's guilty or not, if the police violated his rights in the way they conducted their investigation, or if something is just so prejudicial as to be unfair, I mean, you got to kind of, give the benefit of the doubt to the defendant. You know what I mean? Like, because it's him against the whole government, basically.
I mean, if the cops would have like waited till everyone left the house, opened a window, went in his home, and took like the bathroom trash out and
Yeah,
got DNA that
a
way,
warrantless search.
okay, that's illegal.
Right.
Got to throw the case out. But I mean, it was trash.
Well, that's why I said I wish I could read the motion, because to me it doesn't sound like they did anything unlawful, but clearly there's some argument that was made, and I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I mean, hell, if you're looking at life, why don't you go and come up with any argument you could?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think he's looking at the death penalty. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then if it goes to appeal, the argument they always go to is ineffective assistance of counsel. My lawyer did me wrong. You know what I mean? Like they'll try everything to to avoid, life imprisonment.
Would you guys prefer the death penalty or life? I mean, whether you're guilty of whatever or not, I don't know. I feel like I'd rather just take death, just walk out and out as, get it over with.
Yeah, I would like
Like
to
if
have
I was the criminal.
Yeah, like let's say you're the criminal, whether or not you did the crime, heck, let's just say you're innocent, but you're doing either multiple life sentences, so you're not natural life, you're not seeing another day, or the death penalty.
I mean, I probably would rather get the death penalty, but I mean, if I know I'm like if I was caught red-handed murdering people, I'd probably just off my own self, honestly.
Maybe not, though. Maybe not.
And I'm not saying that that's cowardly. I do understand that, but
Yeah, Josh, if I was given the option, like where I could try to live out my sentence, but if it just got to the point where I couldn't, that I could say, "Excuse me, warden, I'd like to opt for the death penalty option." Like I would want to have the option, because if I'm sentenced to life in prison, I kind of want to see what that's all about. Like, is it am I, do I have what do they call
You're
it?
not a big guy.
No, I don't mean that. But what if
I
I have
mean,
but
I
what if
mean,
I'm in
Carl.
but what if I'm in special protection? What if I'm in federal prison, where it's kind of like, a sort of a country club feel? You know what I mean? Like, what if it's not a bad, terrible existence like the way we picture
Or
it? Like,
you can adjust.
well, sure. I mean, I think I'd rather be alive at the end of the day. But if life in prison was just unbearable, like if I'm getting Andy Dufresne, repeatedly,
Okay.
yeah, I think I'd probably opt for the death option at that point. But I'd want to know what it's
So
like.
this may not fall into what we were talking about, but I was just, when I stepped away for a second, I was talking to one of the barmaids here at Patriots Pub and Grill in downtown Fairfax, Virginia.
I have a
Nice.
question.
Yeah.
Why do you call them? Is it barmate or
Maids.
barmaid?
Maids, as in maiden, maids.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. I figure it's socially acceptable.
What about a tender
Bartender.
or a waitress?
Waitress.
When I think bartender, I almost always think of Moe from Family Guy, or not Family Guy, The Simpsons. So
I don't even
barmaid's
call my
complimentary.
housekeeper a maid. And I think the company name is Maid Pro.
I don't know. If I offended you, I'm terribly sorry. I don't mean it in any way that is
Oh no, it's not offensive to me. I just it's like really like when old people call like refer to Asia as like Oriental.
Yeah, it
It's
does
just
sound
like-
a
well,
little.
that's stupid because the Orient is only Japan.
No, it
I'm
does
just
sound,
saying.
it does sound a little archaic.
But so I was
Archaic is a
talking
good
to the
one.
bartender. I was talking to the bartenders, and they were like, "How are you feeling about Trump being in here?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, she seemed unhappy, and I was like, I feel like he's not gonna hit it out of the park on everything." And she was like, She was concerned about all the teleworkers going back to work. And I was like, well, that's kind of the way it was before. And she's like, well, not really. And I'll take her word on it. Because she's a really bright girl. And if she says it, I'm gonna give her the I'm gonna go with what she's saying. And I was like, well, she's like, you need to free up the space. And I was like, yeah, but he's gonna eliminate a lot of jobs. So it should somewhat counter. It may not be perfect. But I just thought it was an interesting perspective that he's not gonna do everything perfect. And it does kind of make sense. No?
Free up the space. There's free space everywhere. There's buildings that are unoccupied. Go to fucking
Mhm.
work like everyone else at the job, at the office.
Well, do you
That's
guys
what I
think
was saying.
that every job really needs people to report in person?
No. No,
See-
but at the same time, there is something to be said for having to go to work and work with people
That's
and
what I said. I said it's
interact socially. But
yes.
I think you're right, Josh. I think a lot of jobs you could easily do from home, especially with the technology we have now,
And with
right?
AI,
But my argument is, if that's the case, does that job need to be a job?
No, that's an issue.
well, and that was my argument with them. It's what you just said, Jack. I love when we are like simpatico like this, because what I told her is like, there's some things in life, a lot of things in life that are much better when there's the process. Even if that process is just driving to work, grabbing your cup of coffee, listening to the radio on the way to work, and decompressing from your life at home. You know what I mean? I think we've forgotten in society about the process. Like going out camping and throwing gasoline on a pile of wood and getting it started. Sure, that gets it done, but if you can start a fire, like, even if not necessarily a natural thing, like you buy some flame starters and things like that, it's a different feeling when you're actually actively involved in the thing you're doing. And driving to work in today's society is kind of the process that we've reached. I mean, I don't know. If for me, it feels
Yeah.
like
I get what you're saying, Zeus, but for a lot of people, man, like they're commuting by public transportation or they're walking on, a couple of
yeah, but it's
miles.
not like they're not sitting there reading a book or playing a game on their
No,
phone.
I get it. I get
Yeah.
it.
I just feel like we've lost that fascination, or it's not even a fascination with the process. It's kind of a passive, pleasant feeling. Like when I was working in DC with you, Jack, I took the metro all the time. That was my time to read. I mean, back then we didn't have cell phones, so there wasn't even like playing,
Right.
a game
Right.
or listening to music. We didn't even have, back when we were working together, we didn't even have what were the old things called? iPods.
iPods.
We didn't even have those. No MP3 players. It was like a lot of reading, a lot of people watching.
Yeah, but
Oh,
those
people watching the best.
that
Oh,
ship is that ship
well,
has sailed, obviously, though.
yeah, I mean, the only time I people watch really anymore is like when I'm in DC and I'm at a coffee shop sitting and drinking and I'm just kind of looking around and seeing all the craziness going on. I almost feel like I wish the electricity would shut down for a couple months so we learned how to like interact again. But I go nuts without my phone, so I'm
Yeah,
already
plus this podcast to be done. We need electricity.
That is true. That is true. So, do we feel like we've covered several subjects on this episode?
Yeah, we covered a lot, man. Why? Do you have anything else up there on your queue, or you
You got anything in the news, John?
talking to me or Josh?
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
kind
you,
of
I
Josh.
confused.
got one. I got one.
Okay.
Oh, your name's not Josh.
White House acknowledged that the drones over New Jersey were permitted by the FAA.
Yes,
They
the
haven't
FAA.
gone any. What's that?
The FAA was knowledgeable and in on it the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah, cool. What were they doing?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to come out later. But I can't believe I forgot about that one because we did a whole episode on the drones. And I do still feel like some of the shenanigans that we thought were going on, but
Yeah, they were doing research.
maybe they're feeling like if they give us that yeah, it was us, that we'll back off. Maybe we do, as we do with a lot of things these days. But
That whole story just pisses me right off. You had
yeah,
the White House saying we don't know. You had the media saying, "Oh, we don't know. Hey, it could be aliens, guys. Oh, hey, we're going to go and say this drone's got a mothership and it's kicking out other little drones." And then they're going and spying on Jersey, which is just a group of
Watch what you say
fine
about
people,
Jersey.
a group of fine high class people, right?
Thank you,
A-
Josh.
And
What
you
the
know,
fuck is in Jersey? Go to Nevada.
Jack is in. Oh, I mean, Hot Carl is in Jersey. I'll get it down. I'm just saying, let's. There's a lot of jokes you can make about Jersey. I'm saying not in present company. Hot
Yeah, no, it
Carl
was
is a
a,
Jersey
yeah.
boy.
They still basically didn't tell us what they were up to. They just said that it was approved and they had knowledge of it. Like we kind of knew that.
Which
They
we
tell-
kind of knew that because we're not dumb.
right.
We predicted it again.
That's
We
it.
are.
No, I think
Nostradamus
just
of
people with
long
common
time
sense.
podcasts.
Hey, somebody knows something because there's these things flying around in the sky. If we really didn't know what they were, or if somebody didn't know what they were, those would be gone in 2 seconds.
Yeah, even the China balloon we shot down after a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, we
Well-
nailed that one.
No, the only other news story, Zeus, and I thought this might interest you because it's been something that has been grinding your gears. Let's just say, Trump actually just came out with a new executive order. He put out in a tweet, and I quote, "Today it was my great honor to sign an executive order banning the chemical castration and medical mutilation of innocent children in the United States of America. Our nation will no longer fund, sponsor, promote, assist, or support so-called gender-affirming care, which has already ruined far too many precious lives. Using every
Again, he's
available,
really trying to win me over.
yeah, our agencies to use every available means to cut off federal financial participation in institutions which seek to provide these barbaric medical procedures that should have never been allowed to take place." And
Dude,
that's
he's in my fucking head.
Yeah, he is in your head, man. He's got you all figured out.
I mean, have I not said that almost to a T?
Yeah,
I don't
well,
give a shit if you're an adult and you do that. It's our kids, man. Quit treating them like chess pieces. Wow.
yeah,
Nam,
so
that might be an episode in its own. Good. God,
yeah.
I really don't want to like him, and I'm really starting to like him.
Oh, he's very likable. Come on, Zeus, join the dark side.
Joshua, do you have
Jack, you
anything?
mind
Do you have any news story?
you mind queuing it up? I got a
It's
minion
Hot
here.
Carl.
Okay, all right. Well, look, we have been on for a while, so I think it might be time. Zeus, you want to do the thing with the hand there, buddy? There you go. Okay, we're wrapping it up.
The Friends of Zeus podcast with Zeus and Mike and Tom too, with Desiree and Jack too. Here on the Friends of Zeus podcast.